You are listening to Mining Stock Education, where you'll learn from the top leaders in the natural resource sector and uncover quality mining investment opportunities.
We got intersection 4 grams over 7 meters, even 14 grams over 6 meters, just above some of the exploration working. So the potential is there from surface down to 2,000 meters. You are doing up to about 20 holes. We're going to be starting most likely next week, the drill program. And when we go in full speed with 2 rigs after Christmas, we'll do about 12,000 meters. The beauty is that we're funded, so we don't need to go to the market.
Thank you for tuning in to Mining Stock Education. I'm Bill Powers, your host, and we're going to be getting an update in today's episode from Gerald Panneton. He is the executive chairman of Gold Terra Resource Corp. The ticker symbol is YGT in Toronto, and in the States you can find it under the ticker YGTFF. If you recall from our previous interviews with Gerald, Gold Terra is pursuing 5+ million ounces of high-grade gold just outside the city of Yellowknife in Canada's Northwest Territories. They're currently engaged in a drill program that they just completed. They're waiting on some assays from that, and they're about to launch on to another 12,000 meter drill program at a different target at this project just outside of Yellowknife. So there's a lot to talk about, update the market on. I've been buying shares on the OTC under 30 cents on a little share price weakness recently. So Gerald, welcome back onto the show. As I mentioned, the share price came down a little, which I saw as a buying opportunity, but perhaps we could start off with you giving a little commentary on what you see going on in the share price action for Gold Terra.
Thank you very much, Bill. Yes, well, I guess the market is the market. Sometimes it is softer, and sometimes it's a great occasion to buy the stock on weakness. I feel that nothing has changed from our goal of bringing a lot of ounces back into the picture for Gold Terra. From the Crestaurum drilling that started in mid-August, which is still running until approximately the next couple of weeks. And then we're going to be moving on before the end of November onto our Campbell Shear target, which basically was the result of negotiating an agreement with Newmont, doing a huge compilation early in 2020 on the Campbell Shear, which is the mother lode of Yellowknife. 13 of the 14 million ounces have been produced on the Campbell Shear between the Giant and the Con Mine. And just before we go into the Campbell Shear, we're going to talk a little bit more about Crestaurum. So what would you like me to cover, Bill, on Crestaurum?
Could you start off with the first 4 holes that came back? Give us some of the highlights, and you're also a geologist. You're not just an executive. What is your interpretation, and what do you see going on in these first 4 holes?
I'd like to start first by saying that we have already almost 250,000 ounces between surface and not even 150 meters vertical on the Crestaurum deposit. And what was missing was, does the deposit extend at depth? And technically, the 4 holes we released sometime in late October basically demonstrate that we were having a technical success getting to the shear zone at 400 meters vertical elevation, 4 holes hit the structure, but there was not enough quartz vein to basically give high-grade mineralization. So are we going to go back in this area? Possibly one day, but I think what's left is that we were able to extend the deposit to the south. We were able to demonstrate that the combination of the structure plus quartz vein is a high-grade result in the order like 2 ounces over 5 meters, 21 gram over 5 meters, 10 gram over 7 meters, mainly from 0 to 200 meters. Below 200 meters seems that the quartz veins are not there and the structure is there. So our potential to find 1 million ounces at Crestaurum has been somewhat damper from that, but we still believe that there's still room to find more ounces on the deposit itself, except we will not be continuing at greater depth like we were planning. So those 4 holes is the deposit is way bigger than we think. And basically those 4 holes basically have been, good result, good technical result, but not enough to go back nearby.
Is there any potential that the remaining 6 holes could change your mind? And when should we expect those remaining 6 holes?
We should expect those 6 holes result within the next, couple of weeks, 3 weeks from now. And I think we did intersect the structures in every of those holes. So the structure is there. And if there's quartz vein, there's visible gold, and then we have a better intersection. And I think the assay result will demonstrate that as we go along. So we feel that, it's like now Crestaurum, we thought that could be a 1 million ounces deposit. Maybe it's going to end up being 500,000 ounces, but very near surface and with very good grade for a small open pit. So I think Crestaurum at the end of the day is a great story, but not the main story.
In our last interview, which I'm going to put a link to in the show notes, we talked about that deal that you agreed to with Newmont to acquire some land just south of the Con Mine. Now, this is a historic 6 million ounce gold producer, and you've just announced that you're going to be engaged in a 12,000 meter phase 1 program here. Talk to us about some of the prep work that went into your targeting, and what are your expectations to come out of this program?
As I said in the news release that we released on November 12th, yesterday morning, this was the work of about 9 months of negotiation with Newmont to achieve this agreement south of the Con Mine. If you work in an existing gold camp and you are basically knowledgeable and you know the compilation confirm your interpretation that all of the gold produced in Yellowknife were produced along a structure called a Campbell shear. The Campbell shear can be from 10 meters to 100 meters in width, sometimes 150 meters in width. Not all of the structure is mineralized with gold, but within that structure, there's a lot of high-grade ore shoot. For example, both the Giant and the Con Mine Campbell shear produce gold at between 15 to 22 grams per ton. So roughly half an ounce to 3/4 an ounce per ton. So very, very rich structure. And all of those years before I joined a year ago, and the main reason I said in the press release is I joined because of the Campbell shear. I joined because there is potential. There's 20 kilometers, something around 14 miles, that is completely open to the south of the mine that has never been fully tested. It's been explored near surface and with good result. For example, if you refer back to the long section in our presentation on our website, which is page 12, you can see the compilation that generated the nice leapfrog 5 million ounces deposit with grade varying from 20 to 50 grams per ton to 100 grams per ton in the purple pinkish. And you can see those high grade very steeply plunging to the south. And of course, the deposit got cut off to the south and is being displaced. And some of the early exploration work done up to about, say, 2000, so has not been explored at all over the last 20 years. Newmont never spent time compiling or exploring the property. And there are 3 small resources between the Yellow Wreck zone, the Camp Point zone, and another zone further south that show a lot of mineralization. And the shear zone is there. 5 meters, 10 meters, 15 meters. We got intersection 4 grams over 7 meters, even 14 grams over 6 meters, just above some of the exploration working. So the potential is there from surface down to 2,000 meters. This is not a Crestaurum-alike structure. Crestaurum is a very small structure. Campbell shear is a major district scale structure to which a lot of potential exists. And like we said in the press release, and you can see it on the page 13 on our presentation, or the long section, we're attacking this project right underneath the known mineralization. So it's not like we're going in the boonies. We're just drilling the structure below 200 and 300 meters vertical, all the way to 600 meters at first, and eventually we're going to go deeper. This is just the beginning of an amazing story of drilling.
And this will be 19 holes?
You were doing up to about 20 holes. We're going to be starting most likely next week, the drill program. And when we go in full speed with 2 rigs after Christmas, we'll do about 12,000 meters. The beauty is that we're funded, so we don't need to go to the market to drill this program. And we have an option to earn 60% on the project. And if Newmont, basically, if we find 5 million ounces, Newmont has a back and right. If we find 2 or 3 million ounces, we'll be 60-40. So it's a great agreement for both companies. And at the same time, it gave us all the latitude we need to drill the mother lode Campbell shear.
And did this targeting with the targets that you laid out, did you come up with these solely on the historical data that you were provided with?
The government has released, because the mines were closed, all the database was kept in Yellowknife. And under a program of compiling, we're able to achieve and obtain all of the information. So when you look at the page 12, which is the compilation of the Campbell Shear, we know exactly where the drifts are. We know exactly all the drilling and underground drilling. We have all the belief of understanding the high-grade component of the shear zone. And of course, all of the drilling that was done, I partly did some of that compilation myself, looking at all the section from the Con Mine all the way for 20 kilometers out. And as we release in June, we have an intersection about 6-7 kilometers south of the Con Mine, which has 8 grams over 8 meters. This is a public disclosure we did in June, on June 2nd of this year. So the potential to find another 2 or 5 million ounces or more south of the Con Mine is excellent. If you were looking at people looking to try to find or define a 5 million ounces, there are discoveries sometimes in the world. But I think in Yellowknife, because people have kind of overlooked at it, there's still an amazing potential. And we're just about to start drilling, in my mind, one of the best target of the Yellowknife camp.
And what would be a grade and meterage that would define success for this drill program?
Just the 12,000 meters of drilling cover an area which is about 1.2 kilometers in strike length, about 700 meters in depth. If every hole was successful, you could even see the potential for almost 1 million ounces in that program. So we're going to spend like 12,000 meters, $200 Canadian a meters, so $2.5 million. And we could end up with 1 million ounces at the end of the program. So at the cost of about $2.50 Canadian.
And so you're going to be drilling, you said, around Christmas time. So expect these results back early February. Would that be accurate?
Well, we're starting in November by the end. The drill is moving onto the site next week. And we're planning to start the program and complete a few holes before Christmas, and with 1 rig. And after Christmas, we're going to move with an extra drill. So we'll have 2 rigs running from, say, January 15 all the way to mid-April. And if we are so successful, we're going to find some ways to be able to drill over the summer.
Water is not an issue here with the drilling through the summer.
Not at all, because we're drilling from the land. The deposit dip to the west. And access to the land is a bit more difficult in the summer, for sure, because there are no road access, as opposed to Crestaurum. But at least we can plan, and we can actually also do some barge drilling on the lake as a possibility.
The phase 2 of this program, obviously we still need to get through phase 1, but as you conceptualize phase 2, are there permits that you need to obtain for that, or are you fully permitted for what you conceptualize as phase 2 already?
No, phase 1 is in the process of being permitted to drill the portion. And all of the land, the Newmont land, because it's a newly agreement with Newmont, we had to go an amendment for our land use permit. So this is in the process. And by the end of November, early December, we have our permit. In order to be able to start drilling, we're drilling a few holes. And if people can see on the press release, they can see there's a hole that we're drilling from our property onto Newmont's ground to allow us to start drilling right away. And that's why we were able to. And we filed a land use permit application, or the amendment. It's already been accepted as no change are required. And we don't see that as a problem, as we've been active in Yellowknife for more than 7 years.
When we talked about your previous drill plan, Gerald, before you announced this 12,000 meters, we talked about how you were fully funded. Considering you just added this 12,000 meters on, what should investors expect about future financing? How far will the capital you have on hand take you?
Well, if you were to read through my mind, I would love the stock to be $1 by the spring, and then I will raise money at $1. As you know, the market is never necessarily there. You have to wait for the right window. Currently, with the fall U.S. election and everything else, I don't think the window kind of closed by the end of August. So it's been very quiet in September, October, and November. And that's why there's been weaknesses, not only on Gold Terra, but on many other stocks. A lot of people are working. But I think with the target that we have and the money that we have to drill the phase 1, I think we should be able to generate sufficient, excellent result in the very near future to allow us. And don't discount Crestaurum. Crestaurum still can deliver a lot of very good result over the next couple of weeks. So I think, of course, my favorite target is the Campbell Shear, but Crestaurum can still deliver a nice resource, high-grade surface mineralization. I think it's still there. This hasn't gone away. And I think with the result of the phase 1 program starting before Christmas on the Campbell Shear, we should have a double edge to generate good result. And if we need to raise money at some point in 2021, we will. But of course, I'm always very price sensitive. I'm very knowledgeable about dilution. It's not like my detour days when the stock was like $20 or $30 US. We have to live with a stock which is at 30 cents US, but we do our best to avoid dilution, raise money for what we need to do, and generate value for our shareholders in the company.
And when you do raise money, your history is to do it without warrants primarily, isn't it?
Correct. We do without warrants. We don't like putting a ceiling on the stock. What warrants do eventually is basically putting a ceiling, because people, this is common knowledge in the industry. A lot of people would love to have a private placement with warrants. They participate. They have the warrants as an edge, and they basically flush the stock as soon as they bought it. And I've avoided doing warrants at Detour for many years, from 2006 to 2013. And when I came to Gold Terra, I said the practice of warrants is not good. And why would you give somebody a ceiling and when the stock can just fly? Let it fly.
So for 2021, as investors look for drill programs and potential catalysts, obviously you said your focus is here on the Campbell Shear south of the Con Mine, but perhaps would there be another target other than Crestaurum that you could also end up drilling next year?
We're going to be carrying on the Campbell Shear south of the Con Mine on 100% South Belt. This program could start before the end of the winter, sometime in March or April. Depending on access, ice bridge, and things like this. And I think that people will really, once we've secured what we are looking for in terms of the land, we will be able to generate a lot more target south of the mine, again, along the Campbell Shear. The Campbell Shear also continue north of the Giant Mine. This is part of some of the program we may be able to do north of the Giant Mine. We recently acquired some claim that became open, which are right along the strike. There's still a lot of potential, which basically is the northern quadrant of the North Belt between Crestaurum and Samoto. There's still a lot of potential in this area, but those target needs a bit more work. It's not going to be a full-fledged 10,000 meters of drilling. Maybe we're going to go there and drill maybe 2,000 or 3,000 meters with one rig going around and testing some area. The main target to generate ounces right in front of us is the Campbell Shear south of the Con Mine, on the Newmont claim, and then onto the South Belt claims.
The website is goldterracorp.com, and I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes. Again, the ticker symbol is YGT in Toronto, and YGTFF if you're a United States investor and would like to purchase on the OTCQB. Gerald, really appreciate the update. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much, Bill. It's my pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Mining Stock Education. Please subscribe and share this show with like-minded investors. Connect with us at MiningStockEducation.com and sign up for our email list to stay in touch. Much success to you as you learn about, invest in, and profit from mining stocks.